Welcome, everybody, for the third time. Third time's a charm. We got it on the third run. Trace. Welcome to the show. This is LoreForged, the podcast for Ashes of Creation. It's episode 49. We're coming up ever closer to our 1 year mark, and tonight I am joined by Cash.
Hey, everybody, it's Cash. I'm very, very happy to be here. It's been a fantastic day. A great day at work. I'm here back with my buddies, getting to do this. I've been thinking about Ashes of Creation all day, but haven't been able to do anything about it.
He's angry.
Because of work.
And Sonny's here.
I was just thinking back to all of the things I've done other than play Ashes of Creation on the streams that I do sometimes during the day. Like, I've built numerous cities in different times. Like, I built a Japanese village. I built a modern city. I had a medieval village for a while. I had a village made entirely with beavers. Like, it is just, I'm doing everything that I possibly can. Don't you yellow flag me. The beaver is a proud and noble animal and the mascot of Canada, and I will not have you besmirch such a wonderful species.
That's not the beaver you meant.
It is the beaver I meant. Anyways, boy, are we looking forward to Alpha 2. That's what that means.
That's what we got out of that?
Yep, I'm running out, man.
Okay.
I crafted an entire planet last week. I started with Mars, and now it looks like utopia. It's got colorful animals and everything. I took a planet from nothing and with my bare hands terraformed it.
Well,
that's the level of desperation we're at.
Didn't you start that game as a prisoner?
Yeah, with no explanation. Like, I'm still a prisoner.
Yeah.
There's been just nothing. They just stopped talking about it. It was like,
kind of would have been nice to know what the infraction was and what made you a felon, but I'm really glad to see that you're now a functional member of society.
I know, like, it could be anything. I could have like a lot of parking tickets, or I could be like a pedophile or something. Like, I want to know, do I want to continue?
that's deserved.
I'm yellow carding you again.
Murderer?
That's
Would you
twice.
prefer murderer?
You know, oddly enough.
Yeah, I would prefer murderer as the other word you said.
I could have been a murderer. I want to know, do I want to continue playing this person?
Hey, I just want to let you know, as a teacher that was once in a prison, murderers are the best teacher assistants. So they take orders very well. Yes, they do.
Oh my God.
You're welcome.
There's a little bit of tidbit I might not be able to live without.
Did not know that.
Yeah, see, now we're bringing it back full circle,
Hey,
but
Kelly,
not really.
guess what I just learned? Murderers. Great TAs.
Oh man, they're excellent. Oh gosh. All right. Anyway, well, hey, welcome in again, everybody. This is the show for Ashes of Creation. Thanks so much for push and play and hanging out here with us for the day. Thank you so much, by the way, to Twitch. Everyone's here. We're doing this live over at LoreForged Live. You can come join us. Always follow us on our socials. We'll keep you up to date when you can come and watch the live train wreck of the show. It took us 3 times to get this one going, but we got it on the rails. We're doing all right, and Cash is smiling. So this week on the show, we are bringing back an oldie but a goodie. Check out this thing I found on Reddit, and it's Dev Discussion Week. Right here on LoreForged. Sonny, take it away.
Okay, so I had 2 of them here, and one of them was more positive than the other, and so I want to make sure that I get the positive one. Though the one that was a little negative was about Throne and Liberty, and they were playing Throne and Liberty, and they had some problems with like open PvP and stuff like that, and I thought, oh, that's interesting, because Ashes is functionally going to be a PvX game, and so the question is, does that cause problems? And the answer is invariably yes, because when you want to do something and you have the possibility of being killed, it does add some dilemmas to your plan. But I just thought it was kind of ranty and negative. So I ran across this one, which I actually really had to think about, which is a good sign. So the person's name was DC Guy 9990. And the question was, how do you test a game? He goes on and says, if you're going to test Ashes or any other game for alpha or beta, what do you try to look for or do? Personally, as much as I can offer, I look for typos or other little small mistakes. I seriously don't understand how some people are able to find bugs that could be game breaking. He goes on for a little bit, but the real question is this. How are you guys going to test this game? Like, he brings up a very good point, and some of the commenters in it afterwards also bring up good points that, like, not everybody has to be a game testing wizard that is able to find the chinks in the armor and everything. Maybe it's just they just need people in there saying what they found annoying or what their game experience was. And so I'm going to ask you, Cash, to go ahead and take this one. Like, what are you going to do and what are your goals while you're testing this thing?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of people who got the alpha, a lot of people that paid in to be able to play the alpha 2, even the alpha 1, but maybe perhaps more so the alpha 2. I think a lot of people just want to try the game to see how it feels as opposed to doing actual testing. For us, we're in a little bit different spot because we're making content for the game. So for us, it's a lot of things. It's not only, yes, getting to try the game and see how it feels and, you know, and see how it works out for us. And at this point, we're a little freaking committed. So I'm pretty sure that the game's going to be for us after all we've watched and speculated, and we're really excited about it. But for us, it's not just that. It's not just trying the game, but that is a big part of it. It is having the responsibility that we truly believe we have, and that is to try and find those things that we find not fun. I think that's a really big part of it. Finding things that are broken, yeah, all the up to and including typos. And this is just a personal pet peeve. I am a total grammar nerd, so I will always report problems with grammar, and I research to make sure I'm right, but I always report that stuff, and it drives me crazy when it's there like 3 weeks or a month later. It drives me nuts. So that's definitely a part of it. But I think overall, what I'm most excited to do is test the game out on a personal level. So is it fun? Is the gameplay fun? Is the combat fun? Because obviously that is a cornerstone. And they've already said it. Intrepid's already said it. We want to know what you think sucks about our game. And that was maybe not the exact verbiage, but it was pretty dang close from one of the devs in one of their showcases. We want to know what sucks so that they can fix it. The other thing is going to be a lot of people in one area. You're going to want to test all that server technology, all that juicy server technology that they talked about a couple weeks ago. So I think there is that personal responsibility that you have to test the game and give them valuable feedback. And at the same time, there's a large part of it that's very personal for each one of us to find out if this game truly is what we want to play. And like I said, we're committed, so we're going to be there anyway. Here's to hoping.
Here's to hoping.
Yeah, you know, I feel the same way. I love the part that you said, yeah, we're committed. Reminds me of Carbine Studios and WildStar way back in the day. That was fun. But yeah, I think, how am I going to test it? Well, first, after I pick my jaw up off the floor, the fact that I'll be in Vera for the first time ever. The way I really test things is just really get into the meat of it and just play and just focus on playing. And when something isn't right, report it. Like if there is, like Cash said, a typo, or if, you know, a button isn't allowing me to accept the quest or complete the quest, or, you know, sell a thing to XYZ merchant, you know. So just really taking the time to, when those bugs arise, stop what I'm doing, go submit a ticket with the, you know, location, NPC name, that whole thing. But yeah, you know, like I will say, like, the more proactive that people are, the better the experience that everybody gets at launch. And that's really what we want. And so this is, at the end of the day, a true alpha. Like, this is where you come to test. This is where you come to report things. And so this is not a finished product. It's not close to a finished product. This is a true alpha. So the more that we do now, the more proactive we are, you know, and the community is, just the better the product.
Going Crazy Back Soon has an excellent comment. Katie says she hopes that there's a "you did good" button on like something like this, so that instead of just constantly peppering them with "this is broken, this doesn't make sense, you spelled this wrong," there's actually a "I really like this. This is a good part here." I think that that's important. I understand also that that doesn't necessarily help people that find typos in the future, but like sometimes it's just nice to know what kind of things are working, especially philosophy wise. You know, if you have a good experience with something, to be able to leave that feedback as well. For me personally, yeah, I just don't see myself as like a big bug smasher. Like I don't see myself trying to break the game. There was some comments from people that are like, "Oh, you got to watch this guy's videos. He's fantastic at like getting into situations that completely break games, and that's what you need to be doing in the alpha phase." I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna go do my thing. I'll do the auction house. I'll do the stuff. I'll read the tool tips. And if something is just like, I don't understand this, then, you know, it might be something they fix, or it might be something where they say, yeah, it's just this guy. He's just not getting it. And how many games have you played? I know this from first experience, having played a bunch of games recently, that you can't believe that something would still be allowed to be in a game after release.
Oh,
I'm just like, how could I possibly be the first person to encounter this situation? And sometimes that's just what happens. Like Cash said, you know, he reports a spelling mistake, and then 3 months later, that spelling mistake is still in the game. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of points to this one, but the first one is there is, and we have some ESO players in here too, so I'll be really interested to see if this is still a thing. When we were making content for Elder Scrolls Online, at that time, there was a bug in the game where your character would mount up, and for it was either a short amount of time before the glitch like fixed itself, and sometimes it would almost be permanent, to where your character would like stand on top of the saddle as you were like running down the street. So see, there you go. So Katie said they fixed it. Katie, our friend Katie's in chat, and she still actively plays the game. I remember specifically, very short story. I remember specifically, we did a reveal event for one of their expansions, and I was blessed enough to be able to be on stage in Vegas with their lore master, and they were talking about things like this, things that need to be fixed. And I remember, as a joke, I brought it up and I said, are we finally going to fix the bug where I'm standing on top of my mount? And the crowd went nuts. Like, they're like, no, that's a feature. And even the dev said it's a feature at this point. So it goes to show, and I laugh so hard, but it just goes to show that certain things might not be considered features, but they might just be really damn hard to fix. And like, maybe they've tried, but they just can't quite figure it out and don't want to admit it. I'm glad to see they finally fixed it. But yeah, like at that time, it ended up being just like a funny thing in the game. The second thing that I wanted to make mention of real quick is, I love the idea that Katie was saying. It would be really good if they had a button to let them know if they're, you know, what they did do good. So not everybody's giving like terrible feedback about just the bad things. And it brings to thought the recent beta for Throne and Liberty, which we all played, which I thought was really good. I thought it was a really fun game. But when I logged out, the few times that I logged out, I was very surprised that there wasn't some kind of survey. And I know that during maybe even closed and open betas, a lot of times there is a survey that will pop up before you log out that will ask just a few quick questions like, did you like the game? What was your favorite feature? What was your favorite part about this quest? And even sometimes during your gameplay, when you would finish a quest, there'd be a little panel that came up and said, what did you like or not like about this quest? And that provided an opportunity. Well, now it's right in front of you. You don't have to click any more buttons to put any reports in.
Right.
It gives you the opportunity to give them live trackable feedback at minimal effort. And I just thought that was such a cool thing. I was very surprised that they did not do that for Throne and Liberty, which is such a modern made MMO. I mean, it's the UI in the game is just great. I thought it was a really good experience playing through that open beta. So I'm really hoping that Intrepid does put some kind of a system into at pinnacle points when you're not in combat, or say you're just getting ready to log off, or even something where it's like do a /command/survey. And then right before you log off, you can give them feedback for your gameplay session. That would be a very, very good move on their part if they did something like that. It was easily trackable, easily accessible.
Even if you had to close it every time, JB, like even if it was like every time I log off, they put the survey up in front of me, I close it out. That's fine, right? But the times when you actually have something to say, that survey pops up, you're filling that thing out. You're doing something right there. And that's exactly what you need, is that top of mind presence. What do you think about that, JB?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was, and I distinctly remember when we were creating it for New World, when we had the show going for New World, when it launched, or before it launched, and they had the beta. That was the first time I'd ever been a part of a new MMO where, I mean, it had been years really until since the last AAA release. And so this time I really wanted to make sure that I was really being proactive and reporting things and just going through things. And that is the same like mentality that I have here. And so being able to have some kind of survey, you know, all it takes from us as gamers is just to stop for a second and kind of reevaluate, you know, our thoughts on things. Looks like we have says Cash. What am I? Let's see.
It's Osiris and Droog have a great idea.
Yeah. So what they're saying is, what if they did something like, to claim your quest reward, please take a moment for this survey. Or if you'd like to get this cosmetic, please take a moment and fill out this survey. I'm not saying like do like every quest to complete this quest, fill out this survey. I mean, people would go absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I could have a whole transmog by the time I was done playing one night.
But, you know, like if they said, you know, like, hey, after you've played a minimum of like, I don't know, 10 hours, if you fill out a survey, then we'll give you this, I don't know, coat or something, something like that, right?
Something for launch, right? Something that would go into your inventory automatically for launch as an incentive. So they're incentivizing your feedback.
Like this cool backpack for all the testing you did. Yeah, I mean, like I like stuff like that. I think that that's fine. You're incentivizing with non-pay to win mechanics. Like that's win-win for everybody, right? You get a cool cosmetic and they get feedback. I think that they should get the feedback anyways. I mean, that's why we're here. But at the same time, you know, sometimes you just need to incentivize this kind of behavior, and that's a good way of doing it.
I agree. You know, this is a little bit of a different circumstance and a little bit different situation because it involved like a pre-order, but I'll never forget logging into SWTOR last year and seeing people rocking the title that you only got if you were there at a certain time. I think it was called Founder. Or, you know what I mean? So it's like when you saw...
It was a pre-order. It was the pre-order pack.
Was that what it was? Okay, so having something like that, you know, people get a title for... Because when you look back 10 years and you're like, oh, they were there. Like, then you relate, like, those are my people. And then it puts you like, I remember I just had my son. We were doing the show. I just met Cash. Sonny had more hair. You know, like we had all... It just brought me back instantly. And that's all right.
Do you remember the packs that you could buy, like the pre-order packs that you could buy, and inside the pre-order pack you got like this VIP lounge ticket?
Yes.
Yep.
The ticket to nowhere?
Yes.
It was
so disappointing.
It was so disappointing. And years later, that ticket is still worth nothing.
Nothing.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, you guys never fix this. So like, a small promise that they said you're going to get like access to special vendors with a bunch of absolute bubkus that was on this freaking vendor. Just crap.
I was so disappointed.
I'll never forget that. Yeah, it was super disappointing. So yeah, whatever we do, Intrepid, whatever we do, our sweet, sweet, glorious people, don't make those items absolutely worthless like that was. It's just like, oh my gosh, you want trinkets and cool things like was one of the coolest things that I remember that they released was a decoration for your house for the folks who were here and had an account made during COVID. And Intrepid released that. Yeah, so like we're all going to get that, and it will all bring us back to that time when the world absolutely sucked. It's minimally better now, but it was a terrible time for everybody, right? It was just a terrible time. So we'll always be able to remember that. Yeah, I was around during that time. When you look on your coffee table and see a mask.
I think it was a snow globe, wasn't it? Something to that effect.
Giant germ.
A giant germ.
God,
Diorama.
I can't believe you brought up the VIP lounge ticket on SWTOR. Like, talk about your all-timers for disappointment, man. Because I got that and I went right up that elevator and I'm like, cool. This place is dead anyways.
Nice Bangers reference, bro.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah.
And so
Yeah, let's go to Dresden.
what am I supposed to do here? And I went over to the vendor and I'm like, oh, he doesn't have anything. It's cool.
I never got that. Like, I never got that ticket with the pre-order pack that I did way back in the day. And so when we went back about a year and a half ago, and we were playing it, I finally picked it up. It's something that and I was so excited. This is 10 years waiting for me. 10 years to see this experience. And I go up the elevator, like you say, and I look around. I'm like, did they move the? Where's where is everything?
What time is it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it was so deflating. Yeah, you're both are right. So yeah, bugs.
Yeah.
Be proactive. Squash them. Report them. Do that.
Yeah.
thing.
I'm just gonna play. I'm just gonna play and report how I see things, how I feel about things. If something bothers me, if I see something wrong, I'm gonna do that. But man, like I'm just gonna do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when I feel like it's my responsibility when something isn't working or when something doesn't make sense, that I will report that. I understand that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a reporting body, but I'm not going to be Captain Pirate bug smashing, get me stuck in a cliff wall kind of guy. Probably not.
I think through exploration, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to find areas that clip, like little tears in the world, where your character just ends up like in limbo, just like falling through the world. There will be plenty of that that will be available to be found. Hopefully there's not a whole lot of those kind of bugs. But I truly think, just kind of switching gears here a little bit to talk about the populations during alpha. I think it's going to be a very large population right off the bat. I think a lot of people are going to play the game for the first month or two and really give it a good test. And then once they figure out, yep, this is the game for me, then they're just going to go into that hibernation mode again. So I think you're going to see the population really high numbers, then you're going to see it plateau, and then over time you're going to see it drop, especially if the alpha 2 phase is how we think it's going to be, which is probably going to be at least a year, probably 2. That's my
I think
thought.
it's going to be a faster drop off than you think it's going to be.
Yeah. People are going to figure out whether the game is for them or not. And for a lot of people, it's going to be the first time they're out picking flowers and they get raffle stomped by XX Bong Slayers 69XX. And they're going to be like, I'm out. Bro, you got to read the fine print, man. This is an open PvP game. And like I said on our last show, it is going to happen to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for that. Gosh, it's going to be a good time. Oh, well, this was good, Sonny.
It always is. KOTOR is good. I will say this, that they haven't really, they feel like they're running out of steam over there. They're not real sure. They're kind of like right on the edge for alpha, and I feel like the whole place is just primed, right? Like they've all got their fingers on their keyboard with their notepad filled with comments and stuff, and they're just waiting for that alpha to drop, and then they're just gonna blast off on Reddit. So it feels like they're just kind of hesitant.
Maybe we should we look on Instagram? We should rename it like Katoy.
What did you want to rename it, Jibs?
No.
Or maybe check out this thing on Discord. Katod.
Katod.
Freaking Todd.
I mean, Reddit's good. It always has a good conversation, and it's easy to find the good ones because you just kind of go through and you read the headline, you're like, okay. And then you read the first thing, and Reddit is consistent that if it is an interesting thing that you have an opinion on right away, people will just immediately hit their keyboard running. They will just immediately fire off responses, and it filters it for the most popular responses. So it's like, it's a kind of a system that's built for this. So I've always liked Reddit for this particular feature. And so far it's doing great. So we're going to keep running this segment until they run out of steam.
I do have a general question about your Reddit experience, because I am, contrary to popular belief, I am terrified of Reddit. I don't go there. I don't frequent it. I don't frequent forums very much at all, let alone Reddit, just because of the toxicity that we have seen in the Reddit community over the years. It's like, yeah, whatever. So I tend to stay away from it. But I do know that we had an amazing experience in Reddit, which is where Check Out This Thing on Reddit was born. And that was with Guild Wars 2. It was a fantastic community, their Reddit. So my question for you, Sunny, is what is the temperature of the Ashes of Creation Reddit currently?
Tentative. They're very tentative right now. They don't really know. There's a lot of questions about financing and like what is going on with this game? Do they have like enough to really make it? Is this actually going to be a good game? There was a ton of excitement about the systems update, that really systems heavy update with the server meshing. That was hugely popular, and a ton of people wanted to talk about that. So that's good. I think that everyone is really kind of on pins and needles to see what this Alpha 2 does. I saw one that I almost brought up, but it was just kind of like one of those things where there was a guy that was posting about how he thinks that he deserves to get an Alpha key now because he would do just as good or a better job of testing as all the people that bought Alpha keys 3 years ago. And so one of the comments on it was, I think it's hilarious how the tables have turned. That first it's like, no, everyone that, backed this game way back in the day, you had 1,000,000 years to buy an Alpha key. You're fine. Like, just let them do their thing. And now it's like, we deserve Alpha keys to be reopened because we are, like, it's our right and stuff like that. And so you have like, you have these funny little camps fighting over stuff like this. But the whole flavor of the thing just feels like they're just waiting for that Alpha 2. With Guild Wars, it was different, right? Because that was like a 10-year-old game. And so the people that were there and still talking about it really loved Guild Wars. There wasn't any reason for somebody to come in and flame Guild Wars because, like, who cares? It's a 10-year-old game. Like, it's not on the front burner of anybody's website or anything like that. If you're playing Guild, it's like people that are still playing like Albion or something like that. Like, they love Albion. Okay, we get it. You just to have fun, do your thing, right? But with this, it's still not there yet, and we're so close that everyone knows. It's like it's that calm right before the storm. It's like how the stock market doesn't move at all until like the big announcement that day, and everyone's like, and then it just goes one way or the other. And Reddit's gonna just explode on Alpha 2.
Fun fact, Reddit's stock price has actually doubled since it went public earlier this year. So there's that.
It has moved up and down a little bit. It's a little bit on the decline right now. It has fallen back to earth, but it is on the higher side than a lot of people expected. Many people shorted that and expected an immediate drop, and it's done better than people would have thought.
The more you know.
Not that I want. The more you know. Not that I want to talk stocks, but I do watch them very closely, and we actually had a little upturn recently, and now it's kind of going. Like, what is going on?
I'll tell you a little secret. I do own Reddit.
Do you? All right.
Yep. I got it on a dip. When it went down, I'm like, I think it's worth more than this. It's hard to say though. It's one of those things where it's like a video game, right? That's not yet released. It is just you're just kind of banking on a lot of hopes and prayers with this. And that's the reality of where we are with Ashes, right? People expect a lot out of this, and I don't think I don't think I'm stepping out of turn when I say that when the Alpha 2 comes out, there is going to be a significant population of people that have an Alpha 2 key that are like, what is this? Why isn't this in the game? Where's my sea naval battles and all of this stuff? And they're going to freak out no matter how many times we tell them. That is,
I deserve this.
I know.
You
right?
owe this to me.
You owe this to me.
Damn it. I think Reddit reminds me.
Home address. I want to go over and talk about it.
Reddit reminds me a little bit. And I'm not trying to get into another debate here or conversation and stuff when we're talking about stocks, but Reddit reminds me of this. It reminds me that it has the same volatility as like Bitcoin does. You know what I mean? It's like pew, down, up.
I know.
Down, all the way up, all the way down. And I was just having this conversation with Jibbs the other day. He's like, hey, how's that Bitcoin that you bought a couple of years ago? And I'm like, not back to where it was when I bought it. Like, they waited for cash to invest in Bitcoin. Right. And then it went, boom!
And there he is.
Yeah, we're still not there. So,
God,
yeah.
There's another story. Did you know that I bought Bitcoin in like 2000 when it was like $50? I bought a Bitcoin. Because it was the only way that I could gamble overseas after the United States market shut down. And you could trade Bitcoin. So I had a Bitcoin wallet. I bought like a Bitcoin,
yeah,
which is now like, I don't know, like
crazy.
$70,000.
Yeah.
I bought it for like $50 or something like that. So I might have owned like 5 Bitcoins that I just moved into some like offshore gambling site and then moved it back and cashed it out for like $50 or something like that. If I would have just forgotten about it, found it later.
If anybody was going to run capital for the Black Talon Trading Company, we picked the right nerd to do it. I'm actually a little afraid that the Federal Trade Commission is going to attack our LLC at some point.
It's true. It was an underground currency at that time. It was like, what's a Bitcoin? I have to have a Bit wallet. I have to have a what is cryptocurrency?
And they started making commercials, and Sonny's like, yes, they're making commercials for Bitcoin. All right, fine, we're done. Sorry, Jim.
All right, we can move on.
He's so mad.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just letting you finish. It's best just to let him finish.
Sometimes best just to let him finish.
Oh, that was excellent. Good question there, Sonny. And so, Dev Discussion Week. Gentlemen, so for those of you who don't know what this actually is here on the show, we go back in time and we discuss dev discussions that took place. I think the rule is, well, at least a year ago, at least before we launched the show. So it's anytime before August 2023. So anyway, the first one up is dev discussion number 27. It's from February 2021, and it's on ideal class. And it says, which of our 64 classes do you think you will spend the most time playing? And what are the key elements to making this your ideal class? Sonny, I'm going to you first.
Oh, man. We're so close, though. We're so close to learning about the Bard. And you're going to make me answer this week,
it's
right?
It's not fair.
Like, I don't know. I don't know about the Bard yet. That's the one I want to know about. The Rogue, very interested in the Rogue. But I mean, rogues are rogues, right? Like, we want certain things out of the Rogue. With the Bard, we don't know what we want. Like, you're just going to give it to us and tell us that we want that. And we're going to be like, yep, that's it. Yeah, you got it. And I had this conversation on the stream the other day. I don't know whether the bard will be, and I know that this is like a super hot button term, but I don't know whether or not it will be a viable single player class. I get it. The game is not balanced 1v1. Not everybody is viable. It's paper, scissors, rock, and, you know, balance and all that stuff. I get it. What I want to know is whether or not I'm going to be out there by myself, and if I get attacked, all I got is a bunch of buffs for other people that aren't around.
You have a loot.
I have a loot, and I could maybe swing it at them, right? Maybe. We don't know.
Take this G cord.
Yeah.
I want to be able. Okay, here's a good example. Remember how we had that the dev update with the cleric, and you could kit that cleric out in a million different ways, right? You could have it designed for like big groups and blasts, or short little blasts, or like peppering heals, or all this other stuff, and that has been consistent. You can play the character in the way that you want to play him. That's a little bit of what I want out of the bard. I want a little more like single player damage out of him. I'm not saying he has to be a rogue. I'm just saying that's what I want. So on the first half of your question, and then we'll go to Cash. That's what I'm really, really looking forward to, is I want to see what the bard looks like.
I'm thinking that they're going to nail the bard. I really, and I'll get into the my speculation here when it comes to my own class, but I really do think they're going to nail the bard. I think it's too popular of a class for them to present to us the freaking evoker from World of Warcraft that was just all about buffs and stuff. I believe it will be a complete class. And that's just my speculation, because I think they fully understand and realize the importance of absolutely nailing this class. So that's my personal thought on the bard. So for myself, I think ideal class, I was pretty set on some stuff, but I do have some variables, and those variables lie with the rogue for me, because my initial thoughts were obviously Ranger. Then I was going, well, maybe I'll go Hawkeye, because that Hawkeye is Ranger. And I was thinking how awesome that is. And then I started thinking, well, maybe dependent upon how good the rogue looks, maybe I'll go Ranger Rogue to see what those augments look like for flavor for my class. Because honestly, Ranger Rogue, or Rogue Ranger even, fits everything about what I want to do in the game. I want a little bit of stealth. I want my character to not necessarily look like the Woodland Ranger. I want him to look more like a infiltrator type Ranger / rogue. So, and I have also considered, I know this is crazy, I've also considered Rogue as an assassin. So a lot is going to stem on this rogue reveal to see where we land. But my heart lies in ranged, and my heart lies with some type of a stealth. So if I just can't get away from how good the rogue stealth is going to be, then I might end up Rogue Ranger. But that's where I am. I mean, and I think that's a pretty good place to narrow down a couple of years out of launch, right? And having not seen one of these two classes that I love, I think that's a pretty good place to be. It's going to be some combination of Ranger Rogue. Somewhere is where I will land.
JB.
I was really leaning towards cleric, so high priest. But then we decided to launch a guild, and then I decided to sign up to lead the PvP wing. And you can't make calls when you're staring for tactics when you're staring at health bars. And so you just, what is this? Cash, what are you doing? And
Nothing.
Okay, all right.
I was just thinking of you in the back. You've got like a team of angry Vikings, and you're out there like with your flower petals, just like
yeah.
throwing heels up.
You get some light.
Yeah. That's exactly what it probably would have been like, you know. And it's just like, and let me tell you about my Warborn. Those suckers are thirsty for fighting. Like, they're ready to go. They're itching. They're like the fur missiles. Cash, you guys were talking about a couple episodes ago about those dogs that, you know, were just jump like from the police
You just give them the
department.
command and just
Yeah, like that's them. Like they're in the cage and they're just ready to go. They're ready to go. And they're kind of in that holding pattern like Reddit is. And so watching them stew from time to time, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of funny to see the things they type. But so yeah, I really thought cleric, but I'm like, no, I can't make call outs. Like, hey, watch your left flank when I'm sitting there staring at a health bar. Okay, got that one.
No, sorry you died right there. I was making a call out.
No, I will say, as a healer, you do develop like this weird kind of peripheral vision when you're playing outside of those health bars, so you can kind of really see where you need to position yourself. But trying to lead a large band of fighters and healing was just not going to work. So that definitely is now off the table. I'll be honest with you, it's kind of an open slate for me at this point. And I don't think I'm probably going to say what it is until launch for me. I'm going to keep that because I know if I say anything, Cash is like just chomping at the bit to cut me at the knees. And
we're just going to clip that segment and then we're just going to replay it when it's convenient for us.
And I don't, you know what? Like, I'm not even set on the race I'm choosing at this point. It's a kind of I'm working through this through my sponsor. It's a 10-step plan, Sonny. It's a 10-step plan.
Oh, I've played enough games with you. I know how this goes. I think that cleric would be very difficult for you, honestly. Like, with what I know you want to try to do and what your goals are for the game, I think cleric is something that you need a person that is like absolutely dedicated and focused on doing that one thing, and that's where your best healers are. Healing is hard, man.
It's fun.
Like it is fun, but it is a dedicated thing. Healing, tank, right? Those are your two. You got to have people that are good in those two slots, and then you just fill the rest up with DPS. Healers and tanks have to be on their game all the time.
That's fun.
For you trying to like lead and like look at the bigger picture on things, that's not what healers do. Healers are like dialed in all the time.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's going to be a combination of mage, rogue, bard. Somewhere in there is got all the flavors for me. The second half of the question though is the crazy ideas for like a class. Cash, did you come up with any like really off the wall ideas for what you wanted to do? I'm going to give you mine and I'll give you a second to think about this. Mine was gambler. Like I thought it would be super fun. I thought about this like before, but like a true gambler that you could have, it'd be sort of like a combination rogue type of thing, but the mechanics would be a gamble. So you would be able to more or less double down on mechanics. And if you were able to get lucky with certain percentages of things that would happen, then they would go off for like huge bangs, but they might not pay off and it might even hurt you or something like that. So like a true gambling class or something along those lines. Plus you get all the bonuses to everything else. And you know, the diplomacy of it and everything like that. That would be a super fun mechanic for me.
I kind of like that thought about a gambler. A gambler would be cool. Imagine like a full like politician.
Ooh.
Right. And I think probably the closest
diplomat?
thing. Yeah, diplomat. And that was God, I think you could be a diplomat in Star Wars Galaxies. Yep. That was a thing.
Yeah.
Which was cool. I think probably the closest thing that's there now, maybe in name, it's kind of off a little bit, but a rogue bard is a charlatan. It's getting in that wheelhouse, right?
Ooh, Sonny, that's you.
I think for me, if I was just going to go, and this actually isn't really that crazy, and it's something that with all of these 64 classes that you can have in all these combinations, it blows my mind that druid is not there. Right?
Huh.
Mage ranger, and their mage ranger is a spell hunter. But you know, with any of these combinations, it really does kind of blow my mind that druid is not here somewhere. So it's not that crazy, but that would kind of be my pick for a you know, wall of crazy.
It's just been such a staple for Warcraft for so long, but their whole lore is built around it. You know, like the druid really needs to be like one with nature and that whole thing. And so, yeah, I mean, you definitely put it in, and I'm sure they could wrap a story around it, but it is weird to think. I didn't even think about it until you mentioned it, that there is no druid in this game.
Yeah. There's no druid in there, which is surprising. Now, I'm sure with augments, you can, with augments and the way the things that you can get to, like, look at that mask that they, that helmet that they released today on X.
Right.
It was gorgeous. That is druid all day long, especially if you couple that with a pyre. That you could definitely make your aesthetic be very druidy. And if you're, you know, like a pyre mage, for sure.
And what was that? Was it like antlers, or like, what was that mask?
Yeah, it was like a wooden, almost like a wooden gladiator mask here, a kind of half,
front,
and then it had massive antlers, like huge, like
it's like something Malfurion
like
would
buck.
wear.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Good call.
It's Malfurion all day long. He's got more like elk antlers. This was more like a 10-point buck, but would still, I mean, yeah, you could play that all day long, that you are a druid. But then that's the beauty of 64 classes and a whole bunch of transmog, is you can make your character kind of look and feel however you want. And then with role play, this is where we get real nerdy. With role play, you can play anything you want.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, you can.
So it's there. The aesthetic is there. You're just not gonna be able to turn into a bear.
No.
Yeah,
I think for me, and this goes against completely the design choice that I know Steven wants, particularly for Ashes of Creation with no steampunk. But for me, engineer. Playing an engineer in Guild Wars 2 was just... It was truthfully its own experience. Like I've yet to find that in any other MMO to that kind of customization, the things that you can do. I thought it was incredibly unique. And I know there won't be any steampunk or that sort of feel in Ashes, so it's off the table. But yeah, something with, you know, mechanical gears and, you know, screws, nuts and bolts and all kinds of fun things like that. But
yeah, I don't think you're getting that.
Nope, that's not even a possibility.
Steven hates steampunk.
Yeah, I know.
I think he said it before. He's like, he's not a steampunk dude. So
I'm gonna get my gambler before you get your engineer.
yeah, you're not wrong.
You know, real quick side note, just a real quick side note on this thing. I was talking to Burns the other day, and then he mentioned it on his video. By the way, in Burns' most recent video, I do the voiceover for a suppository commercial. So you might want to check that out.
Oh, that's awesome.
He sent me the text, and I was like, really? He's like, yep. I'm like, all right, here we go. So it's good. But
are you 48 and getting ready to retire from the fire department in California?
Here, put this in your butt.
I deserve this. I opened this conversation up. But the interesting thing that he said was he totally disagrees with transmog. Like, he thinks that there should be a button to be able to turn off other people's transmog. Now, not your own transmog. He wants other people to basically... He wants to be able to see what other people are actually wearing as opposed to their fancy dress-up type of stuff. And it was kind of like a gameplay type of thing. Like, he wants to see what kind of equipment that person is on. Not like, are they wearing a bunch of like nothing and garbage armor, but they spent like real money to look like a complete badass.
Do they have chainmail under their dinner attire like the Red Wedding?
Oh man,
maybe something like that, right? Like a little deceiving. But I don't know. That was just like a take I'd never heard before. I've never heard of anybody not wanting to see other people's transmog. It was just such a bizarre moment for me. So when you brought up transmog, I was like, oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
No, that's interesting because I'm very pro transmog. That'd be a fun conversation. We need to get Burns on here sometime and talk about stuff like this, because I'm very much pro transmog. But you know, like, doesn't Ashes, and I'm sure there's people in chat that will know, doesn't Ashes give you a class like icon next to their nameplate? I feel like there was maybe one in Alpha 1. Maybe not. I don't know. So like you know what you're fighting. I'm assuming that's part of the concern. So that way you know what you're fighting against whenever they have the transmog.
It was basically the what am I fighting against type of situation, right? Like when you have people wearing insane outfits because they spent real money on it, then it's a little deceiving. But yeah, just very, very, very strange. Transmog, I'd never thought of anybody being like, I'm anti-transmog. Like transmog is just like you get to wear the clothes you want to wear. So it was interesting to hear an actual gameplay mechanic reason to not like transmog.
Bro, transmog is like my end game. Like
it's fashion is most people's end game in an MMO.
Yeah.
Cash, am I wrong about that?
No, not at all. That is a big part of has been a big part of our gameplay loop in World of Warcraft for a lot of years.
I worked so hard to get that yak where you could have the transmog, merchant in Warcraft. That was the worst thing I've ever purchased. I can't tell, and that was 100,000 gold. I bet you I've spent 200,000 gold since then changing my transmog because I change it all the stinking time, all the time.
Yeah. Hey Jibs, I have a question for you.
No.
What class? What class are you playing in Warcraft right now?
So, thanks so much for this first dev discussion. We're going to move on to the next one. Dev discussion 16. I have a particular finger pointed in your general direction. So this is from, I do not. My hands are open. My hands are up. March 2020, group-oriented activities. Chat, you're not helping. What sorts of things stop you from joining a group or participating in group-oriented activities? I'll tell you. I'll go first. Whenever you have friends that poke at you about your class choice when you're trying to join said group, or, maybe they're like trying to out you on your class choice to the entirety of the group, it's a real hindrance. It's a real hindrance. Those people are like your Bong Slayer 420s. Cash, you want to follow up with that?
Whatever could you mean? I just didn't know that. Yeah, I have a few. I think one of the biggest things that keeps me from group play, and this might be very simplistic, but toxic people. If you're a D, I don't want to be in your group. I have left many groups in the past if people are just being jerks to others. I tend to be very protective of others, especially healers and tanks. If someone misses a pull, if someone misses a heal, it's a game. Who cares if the party wipes? The person may be new, help them out. If you know so much better than this other person, then be the one willing to help them out. So toxic people don't sit very well in my wheelhouse, and I don't tolerate it very long. So I will either stick up for that person or leave the group. Another aspect of group play that would ward me off from a particular group is if they're doing content that I'm just not ready for yet. I don't want to be the subject of screwing up, which is why if I'm getting into a group like for a raid that I haven't been through or a dungeon that I haven't been through, I have zero problem saying first time through. You know what I mean? Like long time caller, first or what is it? What is it? Damn,
long time listener.
Another one. Long time listener. First time caller. Yeah. So I have no problem admitting if I don't know mechanics in a fight. And if they don't want me in the group, then they can either dump me or they can help. And that's just being honest. So if they're doing content that I'm just not ready for. And the last one is if I'm a new healer. I'm very hesitant to get into groups when I'm just figuring out my bars, when I'm trying to figure out my rotation. I would much rather group with friends, which is why we run and are part of a guild, so that I can get those things dialed in so that I don't wipe the group. Because like Sonny was saying, healing and tanking, although I'm not a tank, I've never really been a tank at all, but I've healed a lot. And it's stressful. It can be one of the most stressful parts of gaming, especially MMO grouping up in games. Other than that, like I'm not deterred by Group finders, I'm not deterred about having to advertise to get a group in chat. I actually rather enjoy that, which is why I'm happy it's not going to be a group finder in Ashes, because I think it just brings that really cool experience of, getting to meet new people, getting to see other people's skills, finding new routes through dungeons, things like that. Like, I have zero problem with that stuff.
Yeah, the lack of a group finder is a real thing, right? Like, that's an interesting decision game-wise. I think that there's a lot of philosophy behind that makes sense to me. I don't know if it will be that way forever. I think that group finders were designed to make it easier on the players to be able to quickly access group content. So I don't know if it'll stay that way forever. I do like the philosophy behind not having one, to create a more community-based experience. The things that stop me from joining a group, it's like I have this love-hate relationship with the game Smite. I like Smite. I really do. I like the concept of Smite. It's the only MOBA that makes sense to me. Like, I like the top-down sort of third-person type of thing, but it's not super zoomed out like League of Legends. I love the whole, mythology theme of it. That's the best for me. I love that. What happens is I play Smite and eventually I run into a group and I have a bad game, or I don't even have a bad game. They just want a better game out of me. They want to be carried or something, and they're just louder than everybody else. And it just becomes an absolute bash fest against everybody else about what garbage players is like. You need to go down to this level and play here. You need to go back to casual play and blah, blah, blah. It's like, get out of here. And man, like, just, it's unbelievable sometimes to like wrap your brain around. I'm doing this for enjoyment and I'm here angry at my computer and I'm yelling at complete strangers that I will never meet in my lifetime. And the second that this match is over, they are gone from my universe. And yet it still bothers me so much. And then I will just uninstall Smite and I won't play it for months and months and months. And then I will reinstall it one day and I'll, find a new class. I'll get all excited about it. I'll play and get better and better. And then eventually I'll have like an off game or something like that and just hear the garbage comments and repeat the cycle. It just drives me crazy when people are like that. I want no part of that. On the other side of things, one of the things that will keep me out of group play, and almost always has kept me out of group play, is the reason why I don't raid, and that is time commitment. I have never been able to commit to certain periods of time consistently. I've lived my entire life. I'm like an almost 45-year-old dude that has never been able to commit to a raid night. It's just not ever going to happen for me, which is why I got into PvP originally, because I could just load up Warcraft and do PvP whenever I wanted to. And then when the match was done, I was done, and that was it. And the worst thing that could happen was I had to leave in the middle of a match. Oh well, right? But if you leave in the middle of a raid, it's not oh well. It's 9 or 24, angry friends, and that's not what you want. And so I never committed to that. And so that was the thing that kept me out of group play.
So Wednesday night raid night, then you're good with that?
Yeah, I'm out. Have a good time though.
I feel that though. Like, I'm the same way. Truthfully, that was one of the reasons why I enjoy PvP, because you're able to get that fix. That you want to be able to compete. You can get in there, have fun, and then you're out. Within like 15 minutes. Going off what Cash, and I think it was Cash or Sunny, I don't know which one, but it was talking about raiding. Like when you're tanking and you're tanking a raid, I'll tell you what that was when I was tanking an LFR or looking for raid in World of Warcraft. It was the first season. That was one of the craziest experiences, but like the most fulfilling and rewarding experience I had ever as a MMO player. That and like completing single player content in ESO. Like it was like their Vet Maelstrom arena. Like, it's just like stuff like that when you're playing those roles, particularly things maybe that you're not so accustomed to doing. yeah, man, it carries weight when you actually succeed. And so you're talking like what sorts of things stop you from joining a group or participating. And to kind of mirror what you both have said, truthfully, I know I said something earlier in jest, but truthfully, yeah, toxicity. And it can be the most demoralizing thing. It can be, people who want to get involved in the game. How many times have we seen it with people who go and join an MMO and they have that first 5-minute conversation, that first 10-minute experience with somebody who just is a complete jackwagon and shouldn't even be able to type in general chat to begin with. It's just like,
and that's it.
That's it. And they're done
forever.
And they're done forever, right? And that's a thing that's always been a standard with us when it comes to running a community, and something that I'm very passionate about that we carry forward. Like, hey, when people, it's their first time, it's like, hey, it's their first time. This is story mode. We go through everything. We let them look through every corner, every crevice, every chest, every door. There is nothing in this community that will ever push you or drive you away. And that's just something I'm very passionate about, is making sure that people have the best experience possible, because it's so important. It's so important. I could go on and on forever on this pedestal, but ultimately, it's people. People have the best opportunity to be kind, which is free, or not be kind, which is easy to do. So, be a good human and treat others with respect. I think it's kind of where I end with that one.
And I think with that being said, just piggybacking off what you said, Jibs, is that people should always transcend a game. They always should. If you honestly think about it, there is another person on the other end of every single character that's being controlled, besides NPCs, obviously. And if you kind of think of it that way, then it makes the things that you say and your actions in the game a representation of who you are. You might have a bad day, but what gives you the right to take it out on somebody else? That's kind of the way I look at it. And you do want to respect other people's gameplay time and their gameplay experience. And we've all had very bad experiences, but that brings it brings up something that we did in Lore Seekers when we were creating content for Elder Scrolls Online. And they're still doing, the Lore Seekers Guild is still doing that today. And Katie, who's in chat, can attest to this. But we did lore runs. Remember those, Jibs?
Oh, yeah.
Because too many times with the group finder, people would get into these dungeons and all they would want to do is go from point A to point B as fast as possible, melt everything, grab the loot, and get out. But with a game like Elder Scrolls Online, there's so much story to be told. And there was a lot of people that wanted to wait through those cutscenes and go through the dialogue. So we would do those and people would be like, if I'm going too slow, let me know. Dude, you're good. I've been through this dungeon 1 billion times. Enjoy it. And when you're ready, just type in chat or let us know in Discord. Yep. And we'll keep moving. And I think that was one of the most fun things that we did as a community. Then we would do nights where we would take little squads of people out and we would just help people, just random strangers with world bosses. And we would, just type in general chat, hey, does anybody need help with this or that? And it was such a cool thing to do. Like, you want to talk about logging off and just feeling all fuzzy and fun? It's because we were making a point to do things like that. And I'll tell you what, we got more members out of things like that. People would see our guild tag and be like, hey, I've heard about you guys. I want to join you. That's the kind of thing that we want to spread in this game. And no, we're not Care Bears.
Nope.
We're going to play the crap out of Ashes of Creation. But we're going to be respectful and fun at the same time when we do it. And I know it's all going back to probably my comment on toxicity in groups, but it's not what we're looking for. It's not, at this point in my life, I'm definitely not looking to be pissed off when I log out. This is my fun time.
Yeah, you guys actually did a lore run with me way late in your Elder Scrolls lifetime, because I was kind of here and there on Elder Scrolls and stuff, and there was one night when you guys said, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to do like a dungeon, so just give me a cool one. And we did exactly that. And I'm just like, like like a tourist with my camera. I'm like, oh man, you see how tall that ceiling is over there? It's like, yeah, we've been in here 1,000 times, dude.
Hurry up, honey. God.
Wow, look at the stuff.
Oh gosh.
And it's exactly like that, right? Like, you know that I'm just like wandering around, like, no, come on back over here. You gotta go over here and stuff. But it was it was just a blast, you know, because that's one of those things when you're not a group consistent content player like that, you miss out on some of the best stuff in a game, which is unfortunate. And that's something I've always accepted, is that when I don't commit to those raid nights, I don't get to do those things. If you were an early Warcraft player, man, you never saw that stuff. Never. Like Upper Blackrock Spire, forget it. You would not see that at all. Yeah, right? Like, no way. No way. Only when they came out way later with stuff like that could you even get into that stuff. But man, yeah, and that was some of the best design stuff in the game at the time, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, anything we can do to just make the experience of gaming a little less stressful and a little more fun for people that's the play.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
We're just too old to be stressed out and pissed off
on
our free time.
I don't have time for that.
I got plenty of that in my real life.
Yep.
I don't need that in my free time.
Nope. Kindness is free. Put others above yourself and it'll be a good time. Oh, well, everybody, thank you so much. Everyone who's here at chat, don't leave. We're going to raid somebody. We appreciate you all for being here. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. Thank you so much for pushing play. This was LoreForged, the podcast for Ashes of Creation. And if you enjoyed yourself, let us know, whether it's in the comments below, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, or on your podcast app of choice. Leave us a review. Tell us how we're doing. It really does help us. And plus, it tells other gamers as well if this show and this community is for them. Don't forget, you can always call us 516-875-1776. And of course, you can email us loreforgedhq@gmail.com. Sonny.
You can go to loreforged.com, and that is our link tree for all of our stuff, including YouTube. That's youtube.com. Have you heard of YouTube? They have videos made by you.
That you're watching
some too
right now.
Yeah, YouTube killed our website.
YouTube killed our old man website with written word on it.
Sad panda.
Yeah, that's right. How are we going to pass our stories down to our ancestors now?
Stone tablet and chisel.
I'm a little distracted on that. Anyway, there's brand new videos out there. JB's got a new one on bards. Cash has got dragon eggs from the Baron Chef. There's all sorts of good stuff on there. So if you haven't seen the YouTubes, go on there. Patreon, you can get all of our content early on Patreon, as well as the State of the Owl. And we've been in talks about Patreon. We're trying to think of, what kind of things can we do with Patreon? But the State of the Owl is still a fantastic thing. And that is an exclusive show just for our patrons. There's only one tier on that, and it is for the low cost of $5. Cash.
Friends, follow us on X at LoreForgedHQ. You can follow us on our Instagram page at LoreForgedHQ. I do want to give a very hearty hello and welcome to the community to a few new members this week. TrackMag Graham, Sir Scooter, Zanderman, Payne, Bastilda, Zeph, Pierre, Night Possum, and wait for this one, you might want to do your Hail Marys. Lucifer has also joined the LoreForged community.
Not a religious guy, but did look on Amazon for rosary beads after that one.
Not gonna lie, I'm a little terrified right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you again. You have a wonderful week in gaming, and we will see you right here next week on LoreForged. Take care, everybody.
Peace, love, and honeybees.
Safe travels, adventurers. You too, Lucifer.